The Seeker's Lamp Podcast. Season 1 Episode 2. The Seeker Archetype and the Buddha. What is an archetype? An archetype is a universal pattern of behavior that can be found in different cultures and times. It is a way of understanding the human psyche and the collective unconscious. Archetypes are often expressed in myths, stories, symbols, and characters that resonate with our deepest emotions and aspirations. They represent the different aspects of our personality and our journey through life. One of the most common archetypes is the seeker, also known as the wanderer, the explorer, or the pilgrim. The seeker is dissatisfied with the status quo and embarks on a quest for a higher truth, a deeper meaning, or a greater purpose. The seeker is willing to leave behind the comfort and security of the familiar and venture into the unknown and the challenging. The seeker is motivated by curiosity, adventure, discovery, and growth. The seeker is not afraid to question authority, challenge norms, and seek alternative perspectives. The seeker is open-minded, flexible, and adaptable. One of the most famous examples of the seeker archetype is the Buddha, the founder of Buddhism. The Buddha was born as Siddhartha Gautama, a prince of a wealthy and powerful kingdom in ancient India. He had everything that a person could desire: luxury, pleasure, fame, and power. But he was not happy. He felt that there was something missing in his life, something that could not be satisfied by worldly possessions and pleasures. He wanted to know the cause of suffering and how to end it. Siddhartha was born in a royal family in ancient India, and according to legend, a prophecy was made at his birth that he would either become a great king or a great religious leader. His father, King Suddhodana, wanted him to follow the former path, and tried to shield him from any suffering or hardship that might inspire him to seek a higher truth. He provided him with every luxury and pleasure imaginable, and kept him confined within the palace walls. However, Siddhartha's curiosity led him to venture outside the palace on 3 occasions, and each time he encountered something that shook his worldview. He saw an old man, a sick man, and a dead man, and realized that life was full of suffering and impermanence. He also saw an ascetic, a person who renounced worldly pleasures and practiced self-discipline and meditation in order to attain spiritual liberation. Siddhartha was intrigued by this contrast, and felt a strong urge to find the true meaning of life. He decided to leave his home, his wife, and his son, and join the ascetics in their quest for enlightenment. He followed their rigorous practices of fasting, abstaining from sensual indulgence, and enduring pain and hardship. He pushed his body to the extreme, hoping to free his mind from attachment and ignorance. He became so thin that he almost died of starvation. He was saved by a woman named Sujata, who offered him some rice milk. He realized that torturing his body was not the way to enlightenment, and that he needed a more balanced approach. He realized that extreme suffering was only going to kill him if he continued. The other ascetics were mad that Siddhartha had accepted the rice water, and accused him of forsaking his vow to reach enlightenment. They told him he wasn't welcome among them anymore. He went to a place near the river Naranjara, where he sat under a large fig tree, later known as the Bodhi tree. He resolved to meditate until he attained the ultimate truth. He faced many challenges and temptations from Mara, the personification of evil and illusion in Buddhist mythology. Mara tried to distract him with fear, doubt, desire, and pride, but Siddhartha remained calm and focused. So, Mara sent his daughters. The 4 daughters of Mara are the personifications of the forces that hinder the attainment of enlightenment in Buddhism. They are Ta, thirst; Arati, aversion; discontentment; Raga, attachment; desire; greed, passion; and Maya, illusion, deception. According to some legends, they tried to seduce the Buddha on the night of his enlightenment, but failed to distract him from his meditation. These 4 daughters represent the different aspects of craving that bind beings to the cycle of rebirth. Ta is the thirst for sensual pleasures, existence, or non-existence. Arati is the aversion or dissatisfaction with what is unpleasant or undesirable. Raga is the attachment or desire for what is pleasant or desirable. Maya is the illusion or deception that prevents one from seeing things as they really are. He overcame all the obstacles and reached a state of complete awakening. He became the Buddha, which means, the awakened one. He understood the nature of reality and the cause of suffering. He also discovered the way to end suffering and achieve nirvana, which he called the middle path. The Four Noble Truths are the core teachings of Buddhism that explain the nature of existence and the path to liberation. According to these truths, all beings experience dukkha, which means suffering, dissatisfaction, or unease. Dukkha can be caused by various factors, such as old age, sickness, death, loss, pain, or unfulfilled desires. The root of dukkha is tanha, which means craving, desire, or attachment. Tanha can manifest as the desire for sensual pleasures, material possessions, fame, or power. The cessation of dukkha is possible by overcoming tanha and attaining nirvana, which is the state of peace and freedom from suffering. Nirvana can be achieved by letting go of greed, hatred, and ignorance. The way to achieve nirvana is by following the Noble Eightfold Path, which is a set of ethical and mental guidelines for living a wholesome and compassionate life. The middle path is the path of moderation and wisdom that avoids the extremes of indulgence and asceticism. It consists of following the Eightfold Path, which is a set of ethical guidelines and mental disciplines that lead to peace and happiness. The Eightfold Path includes right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. The Buddha decided to share his insight with others who were seeking the truth. The first people he approached were the ascetics who had ridiculed him for abandoning their practices. They were amazed by his radiant appearance and profound wisdom. They listened to his teachings and became his first disciples. They formed the core of the Sangha, or the community of monks who followed the Buddha's example and spread his message. He then spent the next 45 years of his life teaching others what he had discovered. He founded a community of monks and nuns who followed his teachings and practiced his methods. He also taught lay people who supported him and his followers with food and other necessities. He traveled across India and spread his message of peace, compassion, wisdom, and liberation. He established Buddhism as one of the major religions of the world. The Buddha is an example of how the seeker archetype can lead to spiritual awakening and transformation. He showed that by questioning the conventional wisdom and seeking a higher truth, one can find happiness and freedom from suffering. He also showed that by sharing one's insights and experiences with others, one can benefit oneself and others. Some of the quotes from the Buddha that illustrate his seeker archetype are: "Do not believe in anything simply because you have heard it. But after observation and analysis, then accept it, as conducive to your well-being. There are only two mistakes one can make along the road to truth: not going all the way, and not starting. To conquer oneself is a greater task than conquering others. The mind is everything. What you think you become. No one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. The way is not in the sky. The way is in the heart. Three things cannot be long hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. Happiness never decreases by being shared. Be a lamp unto yourself. Be your own confidence. Hold to the truth within yourself as to the only truth." How does the Buddha compare with other seekers? There are many other examples of seekers in history, literature, and culture. Some of them are Abraham, the patriarch of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, who left his homeland and followed God's call to a new land and a new covenant. Moses, the prophet and leader of the Israelites, who led them out of slavery in Egypt and to the Promised Land. Odysseus, the hero of Homer's epic poem, who wandered for 10 years after the Trojan War and faced many trials and adventures before returning home. Socrates, the philosopher and teacher, who questioned everything and sought wisdom through dialogue and dialectic. Jesus, the founder of Christianity, who left his carpenter's trade and preached the kingdom of God and performed miracles. Muhammad, the founder of Islam, who received revelations from God and migrated from Mecca to Medina to establish a new community and faith. Dante, the poet and author of the Divine Comedy, who journeyed through hell, purgatory, and paradise in search of God and his beloved Beatrice. Marco Polo, the explorer and traveler, who visited China and other lands and wrote about his experiences and observations. Galileo Galilei, the astronomer and physicist, who challenged the prevailing views of his time and observed the heavens with his telescope. Isaac Newton, the mathematician and physicist, who discovered the laws of motion and gravity and invented calculus. Benjamin Franklin, the statesman and inventor, who experimented with electricity and contributed to the founding of America. Mahatma Gandhi, the leader and activist, who fought for India's independence from British rule through non-violent resistance. Albert Einstein, the physicist and Nobel laureate, who revolutionized physics with his theories of relativity and quantum mechanics. Nelson Mandela, the president and Nobel laureate, who spent 27 years in prison for opposing apartheid and became a symbol of reconciliation and democracy in South Africa. Martin Luther King Jr., the pastor and Nobel laureate, who led the civil rights movement in America and advocated for racial equality and social justice through nonviolent means. These are just some of the many seekers who have shaped our world with their quests. They all share some common traits. They were dissatisfied with their current situation, they had a vision or a goal that motivated them, they faced challenges and risks along their way, they learned from their experiences, they made an impact on others, they left a legacy for future generations. The seeker archetype is not limited to famous figures or historical events. It is also relevant to our personal lives. We can all be seekers in our own ways. We can all ask questions, explore possibilities, seek opportunities, pursue passions, overcome obstacles, grow as individuals, contribute to society. The seeker archetype is not a fixed or static identity. It is a dynamic and evolving process. It is not a destination but a journey. It is not an end but a means. It is not a final answer but a constant inquiry. The seeker archetype is an invitation to adventure. It is a challenge to growth. It is a call to transformation. Are you ready to answer it?